All right, and good morning. Welcome on into another episode of the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Rocco, Tom Evans here with you on the all-new WEOL.com, also streaming live on that Chronicle Telegram YouTube channel. Again, I'm Rocco, he's Tom Evans, and we got some Week 9 action to recap, my friend. Week 10 right around the corner, obviously, which brings us to the end of the regular season, and you got it up on the tablet over there to our right and right in front of you already, joeidle.com. I think a lot of people are going to be very familiar with that website here, as we always are in the final couple weeks of the season. But man, this is when it gets fun, right? It's always fun doing what we do, right? But this is real fun at the end of the season.
Absolutely. And we talked last night, and somebody, Ron and I were talking about peeking at the standings, and a lot of times coaches said they're not looking at. They are looking, and the kids are looking, so they know where they're at, and some nuances this year because those top four get a bye, and I think that bye, everybody thinks that's a really wonderful thing that the top four are going to have a bye. But if you haven't had an in-season bye before, there's some nuances to coaching that, and we'll have Mike Elder on this morning, and they're going to get one of those buys. And, talk to Mike about that because nobody prepares better than the Avon staff does.
Well, and there's so many different mindsets. We talk about this over the years, right? With having the bye versus not having the bye. Does that make you cold? Does that get you off rhythm? Is it almost better just to, have a game instead? But you're right. Even if you do have the bye, a lot of coaches, the good ones, Mike Elder being one of them, they find a way to get their guys ready,
right?
Despite that,
they're high school kids. It doesn't take too much to distract them, and an off week can really be a major distraction for them.
Well, and that's why so many coaches, I know Grizz over at Keystone comes to mind. He says he prefers road games because there's less distractions, right? When you're at home, you can kind of run around with your friends and do stuff, whatever, before you got to lock in for football. But when you're on the road, no, it's like school ends, you're with your guys, you're on the bus, you're getting the meal, and you're off and going. So, always interesting. But no, certainly looking forward to talking to last night's winning head coaches. Some really great games from around the county. I think Clearview certainly maybe has win of the night, knocking off previously undefeated Columbia. 27-21 was the final there. Cody Kea, head man of the Clippers, will join us at 9:10. How about Brookside and Coach Scott O'Donnell? They get their first win of the 2025 campaign. They knock off Oberlin in a thriller last night, 28-27. So we'll talk to Coach O'Donnell about that, and we'll talk to some more head coaches as well. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at the scoring recap from last night, and I'll kick things off here, Tom. I know you can use the sheet in front of you. You can pick it up in the SBC as we move along here on the graphics. But starting things off in the GCC, Menor all over Lorain last night, 38-6 was the final score there. And now in the LC8 again, maybe with the win of the night, Cody Kea and his Clearview Clippers, they knock off Columbia 27-21. Huge road victory for Clearview here in week 9, and that thrusts them maybe back into the playoff picture. They may need some help to get in at this juncture still, but again, a huge monster win for Clearview last night. Brookside again knocks off Oberlin 28-27, first win of the season for the Cardinals. Keystone knocks off Firelands 33-24, the final score there. Black River rolls past Wellington 48-7, and in the North Coast Conference, it was NDCL having a fantastic season. They were too much for Elyria Catholic last night, 45-21, the final score there.
And over in the SBC, Edison comes from behind at top Vermilion, 27-24. A battle of 5 and 3 teams last night. Vermilion had the lead, relinquished the lead. Vermilion's on the outside looking into the playoffs right now, and they always finish off the season with always tough Bellevue next week. So, you talk about heartbreakers for Vermilion. That they lost a 5 overtime game earlier, and then they lose that game last night to Edison when they had the lead. That's a tough road to hoe for Bill DeFucci and the boys over at Sailor Way. In the SWC, Avon plays their rival and wins 43-12 over Avon Lake. Avon Lake gets out to an early lead, but Blake Elder had a fantastic night for the Eagles, and we'll talk to Coach Mike Elder about that a little bit later in the morning. North Ridgeville over Amherst in the game we had on YouTube last night, 28-28 with 3:46 to go. And the big play North Ridgeville, 2 big plays in the last 3 minutes of that game give them the win in what was a very entertaining game to watch. I think it was, as a coach on either side, it was probably pretty frustrating, and we'll talk to Brian Morgan about that today too. Brea Midpark over Elyria 44-15, and Elyria just can't seem to get it going. Olmsted Falls big over Midview 42-7. And that Olmsted Falls is hitting on all 8 cylinders right now. Over in the Cleveland West Conference, Buckeye defeats Rocky River 35-27. That was our Stream 3 game last night. We'll talk to Michael Keefe about that a little bit later, but I think that pretty much ties up the conference championship for Buckeye and holds them onto a number 1 seed. And then later today, my Buckeyes travel to Camp Randall to take on a 2-4 Wisconsin team at 3:30 today. And, we were talking off air, Rocco. I've been to Camp Randall on a couple occasions. The year that Ohio State won the national title in 2002. and that is a awful place to play if you're the visitor. Their fraternity row is right next to the stadium, and they rock and roll. And a kid I coached played for the Buckeyes, and he said they hold you in the tunnel there. And he goes, what they do, it was a cold night that they played up there. They put pennies inside of marshmallows and froze them, and they were throwing them down at the players while they were getting pelted while they're in the tunnel.
Brutal.
Up at Camp Randall. So it's a tough house in Camp Randall.
Is that Jared Kozar leading the frats over there with those devilish ideas? Or
Jared's
what?
taking notes on that. Oh wow!
Man,
Let's see.
Write that down.
Put a penny inside of a marshmallow and freeze it. There you go.
Oh my goodness! All right. Well, have you? So I'm assuming you've seen the whole jump around thing. That they do then, right? That's I can't even. I mean, it looks like something to behold on TV or YouTube or whatever. I can't imagine in person.
And worry about and they were remodeling the stadium when we were up there one year, and you can literally feel the stadium shake when it does. And I'm thinking, there's 100,000 people here. Things start collapsing. I'm looking around and for a way out. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's like, I don't know if there's any left up there, but like some of those older wooden roller coasters that were still standing for a long time up at Cedar Point. My dad, he get on those. He's having a great time. He's having a ball, and I'm hearing the rickety rack and the clickety clank, and I'm like, oh boy,
watching the back wheels come up off the track when it goes around a turn. Yeah.
Like, I don't know, Big Dipper or something, I'd like on my tombstone, but, whatever, that is what it is. So, again, there's some scores from last night against some really exciting games in and around Lorain County. You're right about the Cleveland West Conference. I think that just about knots it there for Buckeye with that win over Rocky River. That essentially was the Cleveland West Conference, regular season championship game. Hence why Michael Keefe and Chad Meyer wanted to head over there so bad. So I'm sure they had a good one, and we'll talk to Michael about that. So as we wait for Cody Kea, why don't we step aside, take our first time out of the show. But again, when we return, hopefully we'll be catching up with Clearview Clipper head football coach Cody Kea. Again, they had a win, maybe win of the night last night over Columbia, 27-21, the final score there. So we'll talk to him about that next. It's Rocco, Nuosci, Tom Evans here with you on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. We're live on the Chronicle Telegram YouTube channel, also online over at WEOL.com.
At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, this month you choose. Right now, get the Escape, Mach-E, Mustang, or Bronco Sport for only $399 a month with 0 down, or the Bronco, Explorer, or F-150 for just $499 a month. At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, we make it that easy.
Lorain County Community College is where you'll lock in your future success. LCCC will get you prepared, get you credentialed, and get you working. Lorain County Community College. Your goals, your career, your future. Enroll today.
Fall is the season of change, and when things change in your life, be sure you have the best protection for what matters most to you. At the Cobos Insurance Agency, we're committed to helping you select the best insurance to accommodate the changing needs in your life. That's why Cobos recommends Ohio Mutual Insurance Group. Since 1901, Ohio Mutual has been keeping the promises that secure dreams. Find us online at CobosINS.com. We'd love to help evaluate your insurance needs and recommend the best coverage from the best companies like Ohio Mutual.
Hi, Tim Elkhorn, Cavs radio voice. Recently, we had some trees removed. So again, singing the praises of EcoTree Services. In a few hours, EcoTree had removed the unsightly trees, cleaned the debris, and opened the area for a new fence. I can't say enough good things about the people at EcoTree. I've used them several times, always thrilled with their work. If you have trees that require pruning or need to be removed, contact EcoTree, a local business that deserves your business. They've earned mine. Go to ecotreeservices.com.
Lorain County has a story every day. Make sure you don't miss it. From breaking news and high school sports to schools, business, and community events, the Chronicle has it all. Stay connected to your neighbors and your home team with coverage that matters most to you. Don't just hear about Lorain County, know Lorain County. Subscribe today at chroniclet.com/subscribe and get the news that keeps you in the know. The Chronicle Telegram, Lorain County's largest newspaper.
All right, back here on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Rocco, Nuosci, Tom Evans here with you on a Saturday morning, still patiently awaiting Clearview Clipper head football coach Cody Kea. We'd love to talk to him about his 27-21 win over Columbia last night. Raiders previously undefeated. And look, I know with Columbia, as we wait for Coach Kea, Tom, their season got a lot tougher once Mangy went down with his season-ending injury. That was the guy that you had slotted in as your quarterback, and just with the dynamic athleticism that he provides on a play-in and play-out basis, just missing him anywhere on the field is a big loss. But especially when he's your quarterback, that can be tough to overcome. And I think that they're maybe finding that out here down the stretch.
And we've talked about that with small school football, and that's a loss on the offensive side and the defensive side of the ball. So that's two positions, and even the special teams. But that also means that you're shifting one of your starters from a position to. So there's a lot of shuffling going on in small school football when a starter goes down that way, and it really affects the whole team. So
yeah, absolutely. And somebody who knows that very well is Clearview Clipper head football coach Cody Kea, who joins us now on this Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. He's got a half smile going on the face right there, but I'm sure it was all smiles on that bus ride home last night, wasn't it, Coach? You guys, I've said it this morning already, maybe win of the night, knocking off Columbia last night, 27-21. So let's just start with the emotion of that, right? What a win for you guys. I'm sure just everybody, you, the staff, the kids, just pure joy, I'm sure, leaving Columbia last night.
Oh yeah, it was an awesome experience. That's something the kids, they haven't gotten to experience, beating Columbia in some time. So it definitely meant something. It really meant something for our senior group. And yeah, the bus ride home last night was awesome, no doubt.
Well, and last time that I spoke with you, and last time I think that we had you on, it was after a win, obviously, and you were talking about some of the legitimate progress that you thought some of the different guys on your team were making, especially with the big guys up front, both offensively and defensively. And look, no secret, anytime you take on this Columbia team, you really need to win that battle up front in the trenches. Is that kind of where things started for you guys last night?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it all started up front. I thought we did a great job of winning the line of scrimmage. And I mean, the rest speaks for itself. When you got workhorses in the backfield that can get the job done on top of solid line play, I mean, that's a game changer. And they did a great job across the board.
Cody, you forced 2 turnovers against a team that rarely turns the ball over. How big did the turnovers play in the outcome of the game last night?
Oh, I mean, turnovers always contribute. I mean, when you're able to take one back, especially, for return it for a touchdown, as we did on a fumble, I mean, it's huge. It always plays a huge dividends in games and the outcomes. And really, that's been our emphasis all year, is take care of the ball. And we're starting to do a better job with that, especially the last several weeks. And yeah, anytime you turn the ball over, bad things happen.
Cody, you had been on the staff previously, so you took over a little bit late in the game. But we talked about that with you earlier in the season about not making too many changes. Now we're in the week 9 of the season. Have you started to kind of put your own nuances in the offense and defense, or are you kind of just keeping the way that you guys had it before?
We've definitely put our own, little adjustments or tweaks here. Offensively, I feel like we found our little identity and what works. Defensively, it's pretty similar to how things have been in the past. Again, we're just minor adjustments week to week. That's kind of our emphasis right now.
You talk about the win over Columbia, and it's been a while since you did that. How big is that for the program? I mean, did you sense that with the kids last night, that that's a hurdle that you guys hadn't gotten over the last couple of years, and you get over it last night? Do you feel like maybe a little switch is flipped, and you got a few more believers now than you did before?
Yeah, I think definitely that it's legit. I mean, there's kids that our kids always believe, but getting it done on the road in that environment, it means something, and it's something that I think we'll stick with them. And, it's just a huge boost for our program.
Coach, you kind of alluded to it already, and again, we're joined by Cody Kea, head coach of the Clearview Clippers. A fast start, obviously. You right out of the blocks, 14-0 lead. You guys take over Columbia. They answer, right? But just getting out to that early lead in a game like last night, where I'm sure a lot of people heading into it, I mean, Chronicle, Telegram, Picket Line, all 11 of us had Columbia winning that game, right? But getting out to that 14-0 lead, I'm sure that had to just immediately build some belief in you, your guys, your kids. Not that you didn't have any going in, right? But when you get out to that early lead, I'm sure that just even more so builds some of that confidence. Like, hey, wait a minute, like we're here, we're with these guys, we can compete and win this football game, and obviously that's what you guys end up doing.
Yeah, I mean, that's for sure 100% spot on. Our kids were confident beforehand too. We know we could play. They've seen the improvement. We were improving every week, and they knew we belong on the field with them. Anytime you put your pads on, you got a chance, and that was kind of our emphasis all week. Like, hey, we belong here in this moment, and they owned it. And we faced plenty of adversity in the game too. Yeah, we jumped out to that 14-point lead, but Columbia answered right back. We threw punches, they threw punches. I mean, we went back and forth, and we kind of stalled out in the second. Guys, there we go. But we put it together when we had to, and like I said, after it went 14-0 to 14-14, the kids could have easily, that confidence you could have seen start to go the other direction, and the doubt that crept in, but it didn't. They kept battling, and I'm beyond proud of them.
Your quarterback, Cam Williams, I saw a quick post-game interview with him, and first and foremost, it seems like he was pure business last night. I mean, he was emotionless in the interview that I saw with his answers. Obviously, I'm sure he was excited to win the football game, but a monster effort from him. Is that kind of what maybe you saw from him last night, a very business-like approach to that football game? And obviously, again, he plays a huge part in that win.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. That's Cam every week, though. He's just he has a unique presence. He's just calm all the time, and he's just a leader. He puts the team on his back when he needs to. He'll fight for extra yardage. He makes plays on defense. I mean, including a huge one in the fumble return for a touchdown. He's all over the place. But great lead by example kid. And yeah, the emotionless thing, that doesn't shock me one bit because that's him all the time. He had fun in film this morning, though. I can tell you that. There's some smiles on his face.
Cody, you play a team that runs the option, and it's awful difficult to prepare because I don't know that anybody else on your schedule runs that. And it's tough to get ready for that in a week. How did your kids react to that? And again, you guys jump out to a lead against them, and the option's a little bit different offense. But talk about prepping for an offense that you only see one time a year.
Oh, it's tough, and that's where adjustments come into play. I mean, and Columbia's the best around at doing it. They excel in it. Everything just hits so fast. I mean, they've been doing an incredible job and continue to do so. But just the biggest thing we preach, you got to have an assignment. You can't be staring in the backfield this week. We never really should, but especially this week, play your gap, play your assignment, know where you got to be, and just your responsibilities one key at a time. And I give our young kids too, our scout team did an incredible job simulating to the best of our ability Columbia's offense, because yeah, that's not easy to do.
Obviously, a new opponent this week, Coach, with Keystone on the horizon. And again, I referenced our last conversation that we had. You had said, the focus is strictly on Columbia. You weren't worried about Keystone after or any kind of, potential postseason conversation. Well, now here we are after knocking off Columbia, Keystone on the horizon this week. Obviously, I'm sure you've looked at Joe Idle and seen maybe the playoff points and standings. Mm-hmm. You guys kind of got thrusted right back in to that conversation. Maybe. I mean, I don't know how things necessarily need to play out next week for you guys, but is that maybe a source of some extra motivation for your guys, or is it still just kind of business as usual with kind of the approach to the week? How do you go about it?
Well, I think we've tried to have healthy conversations about that. The kids, I know they're looking at it. We already knew going into film in our meetings with them today what's at stake here in this game. Yeah. But at the end of the day too, like we've been saying, we talked about it before Columbia a little bit too, to my seniors especially. You're guaranteed 8 more quarters this year. You're guaranteed. So we're going to live in the moment, enjoy it, and the most important game is the one right in front of us. That's our mentality. There
we go. That's great coaching right there. Well, don't let me tell you that. I mean, I'd say, Tom, you'd probably be more qualified.
Great job, Cody. No, that's fun. I can tell by the smile on his face how things are working over at Clearview right now.
Awesome. Yeah. Good deal. Well, Coach, congratulations again on the win last night. Huge win for you and your guys. It was very, again, I shouldn't be shocked to see that result because like you've said all this time this morning, you guys, you can hang with some of the top dogs in the conference, and that's certainly how things played out. So congrats again on the win, Coach. Appreciate the time this morning, and here's hoping to at least another Saturday morning conversation with you before it's all said and done this year.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
Cody.
That's Cody Kea, head coach of the Clearview Clippers, kind enough to share some time with us here this morning. And I see our next guest waiting patiently below in the queue there, Scott O'Donnell. His Brookside Cardinals got win number 1 on the 2025 campaign. So I'll tell you what, Coach O'Donnell, if you can give us a quick 60-second timeout to get some sponsorship thank yous in, we'll be right back. Coach O'Donnell will join us, head coach of the Brookside Cardinals. His guys winners last night over Oberlin, 28-27. He'll join us next right here. It's Rocco, Nuosci, Tom Evans here with you this morning. It's the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. We'll be right back after this timeout.
Hi, Tim Elkhorn, radio voice of the Cavs. For several years, you've heard me talk about EcoTree Services on WEOL. Recently, I needed trees removed, so of course, I contacted EcoTree. They did an incredible job. The folks at EcoTree were timely, efficient, and the work was flawless. Take it from me. When your trees need attention or even require removal, contact EcoTree Services. Like me, you'll love their work. Find EcoTree Services online at ecotreeservices.com.
High school football in Lorain County is all about tradition, pride, and community, and that's what Stewart's Appliance is built on. For generations, Stewart's has been the family-owned appliance store you can count on for quality products and personal service. From refrigerators to washers, ovens to dishwashers, Stewart's has what you need to keep your home running. Proud to support Lorain County and proud to support high school sports. Stewart's Appliance, where community comes first.
All right, back here on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Rocco, Nuosci, Tom Evans. Hey, real quick, a big thank you to all of our sponsors, Nick Abraham, Elyria Ford, Lorain County Community College, Stewart's TV and Appliance, EcoTree Services, as well as Cobos Insurance Center. Big thanks to Clearview head football coach Cody Kayer for joining us in that last segment. And let's waste no time in bringing him on. Scott O'Donnell, head coach of the Brookside Cardinals, as his guys got win number 1 on the 2025 season last night over Oberlin, 28-27, the final score. I've been looking forward to this conversation all morning as I was getting ready for the show. But Coach O'Donnell, first and foremost, glad to have you on the wrap-up show here this morning. Was thrilled to have you join us. Am thrilled to have you join us. But before we talk any football, some nice Halloween decor going on in the background behind you. Did you get festive over there at the O'Donnell household, or what's going on there?
Yeah, this isn't at the O'Donnell household. I wish I could be as festive as this. I'm in the intermediate. We have films right now, so I'm peeked outside. I'm in the intermediate school, so they do a great job decorating over here.
They sure do. All right, so I won't give you too much credit then for the decor behind you, but
nice selection of backdrops, Scott. That's good. Good job of getting a good backdrop.
See, that's not even a fake one either. Most people put those fake ones on there, like
no green
the
screen
ocean or something like that. I do festive. I get festive.
Well, it beats what we got going on. We got all kinds of nonsense in our little shoe closet over here at the CT, but whatever. But all right, so let's talk some football, Coach, right? I mean, win number 1 on the season. Let's just start right there, right? I'm sure you, your staff, your kids, you guys must have been hungry to get win number 1, just kind of getting that monkey off your back, and you do it last night with a win over Oberlin. So but before kind of diving into even how that one went down, what does that mean for your guys just to get win number 1 on the season?
Huge. It's been a long season so far. Obviously, when you go 8 games without a win, and it's tough. You're working on that with the guys and keeping those guys going and trying to fight week in and week out. It's not an easy thing. So getting the W yesterday, and it wasn't easy. I tell you, Oberlin was ready. Coach had them ready to go, and I mean, it was right down to the end. I mean, it came down to a doink off of the field goal post and bounced backwards for us to win, and they missed the field goal, and then we knee it out and win the game. But what a great game, and players on both teams, just everybody gave it their all, and it was great job for our seniors. It was our senior night, so for our seniors to get their first W last night, it was a great program win.
Scott, you're up by 2 scores, and Oberlin mounts a comeback. And I know that feeling that when you haven't won and you're saying, oh my gosh, here we go again. You start looking around for some magic pill at some point in time. Talk to us about building that 2-score lead and then Oberlin's comeback and how your guys reacted to that.
Well, I don't know that we ever had it. We were up 2. I think we were always up 1.
Okay.
And actually, they took the lead, and Tom, that's how I felt. They had the lead 27-21, going down, and we came down and we ran the ball down and we scored, and then kicked the extra point to go up 28-27. So I don't know if it was ever 2, but just even in, it would have been nice to, have that 3 or 4 score just because you haven't been there, haven't done that before this year, So being in that situation, I was proud of our guys and being able to keep fighting, because there's that sense of, are they going to keep going? And what's going to happen there? Are they going to fight, or is this, oh no, this again? And they kept fighting, and they did the job, and we were able to put the ball in the end zone, and then obviously hold them off as well.
Talk to us about Alex Kitzenberger's night. 142 yards on the ground for you guys last night. How key was that to you guys controlling the ball and controlling the game?
Yeah, Tyler Kitzberger was big last night on both sides of the ball. He plays linebacker for us, and he had a touchdown, picked up, scoop and scored touchdown on a backwards pass on defense, and then on offense had 142, as you just said, on the ground and ran hard. We're just watching the film now, and he ran hard the whole game. Lyon did a nice job at times making holes for him, and he followed, and he was brutal, and running the ball. He got a bunch of carries, and we asked a lot of them last night, and he came through, and he did the job. And most importantly, when we needed it done, late in the game, when you got to go down to that drive, score, and get up by that point, that's when he did it best. He ran right down the field. We kept on giving it to him. So great job last night by Ty.
Alex Ara, 3 touchdown passes last night. So you get down inside the red zone a little bit, and he's chucking the ball around pretty good. Talk to us about Alex's night.
Yeah, Alex is, he's a receiver playing quarterback for us now with Mason Wachter being out. So, we put him in that. And he's a great athlete. He's scary back there. Trying to defend him with his feet is difficult, and he can make things happen. And he threw some and big times right down by the goal line. We had to go through. We had a lot of third, fourth down, situations, and some of them we didn't come up with, and other ones we did. And Alex puts us in a great situation each time, being able to run the ball or throw the ball in those situations. He had a great game, and led the offense. Did what we needed to do to win yesterday, which was excellent.
Scott, you brought up a great point. We talked prior to this about Columbia losing Mengi, and that's not losing one position player. That's losing like 4 position players, because you lose an offensive starter, a defensive starter. Like in your case, you move, and Columbia did, you move a receiver who's probably your next best athlete to quarterback. And now you got to put somebody new in the receiver spot. Small school football is all about making it work with the bodies that you got coming. You're not lining up 99 on the field on any given Friday night. Talk to us about the challenges of that, especially sometimes when you get into a season and a two-way starter, or maybe even a special teams kid goes down for you in the shuffling that you got to do to just fill some holes.
Yeah, it's not easy. It'd be nice to have 100 guys. And I've been there. Back in St. Ed's days and Lake Catholic days, those were some of the days you had those numbers, and you don't need to worry about that here at Brookside. We have to worry about that. We got a lot of guys banged up this late in the season, and, different guys doing different things, and, you gotta make it work. I mean, you got your guys. So it's finding out where we would be best with these guys in this situation. And sometimes it may be different, this week opposed to next week. Depending on what you're trying to stop or what you're trying to do on offense, is key. So you got to figure that out, and you got to make it work. It's the only option you got.
You mentioned that like Catholic Day. I got a little twitch in my neck when you said that, Scott, from my days at Lorain Catholic and playing over there at Mentor Memorial Junior High. I had a bad flashback there, Scott, but that's okay. Go ahead, Rocco.
Coach, mine for you, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about this, right? Because you always talk pregame about you got to win that war in the trenches, right? You got to win that fight up front. I'm sure that was a big part of last night. And I'm sure, I'll give you a chance to shout them out, but I'm sure that leadership from the big guys up front, both offensively and defensively, when you're going through a season like that, you need guys to kind of keep everything together, keep the leadership and the morale up. And I'm sure the big guys up front, again, offensively, defensively, doesn't matter. I'm sure they played a big part in that and, winning that fight up front last night.
Absolutely. When it's all said and done, and, watching the film, we're just going through it and looking at it, and what I've seen so far, we won that war up front. They have some great skill positions at Oberlin. They did a great job with their kids, putting them in great spots to be successful. But up front, and we had 3 of them were seniors. So, Michael Borman plays there, Zaire Marn and Carter Schuster. Elliot Dorey plays there too. Jackson Giotto came in a little bit last night because Elliot went down. And Braden Jackson. So those are all guys and they deserve it, because we ask a lot of them. And if I told, they're all playing the other side of the ball as well. That's the way it is. Both to Tom's point before, talking about, small schools, that's the way it's got to happen. And early on in the year, we tried doing, the platooning thing and trying to do that. But when it all gets set, comes down to it, to win football games, you got to have your best on the field and compete, and get stops and score touchdowns. So that's what it comes down to. But yes, up front, those guys did the job yesterday. And we're going to need it next week against Wellington as well.
Yeah, it's going to be another physical bruiser type game. Anytime Brookside and Wellington link up, right, it's going to be a physical football contest. So we're certainly looking forward to seeing how that one shakes out. Well, Coach, we really appreciate the time this morning. We'll let you get back to it, but thank you again very much for joining us. Congratulations again on getting that first win of the season last night. And here's hoping at least one more Saturday morning conversation with you before it's all said and done.
Sounds good, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Great job, Scott.
You got it. Scott O'Donnell, head coach of the Brookside Cardinals. Just so happy for him and them to get win number 1, because he's spot on, right? I mean, we know the numbers at Brookside, that he doesn't have 100 guys on the sideline, right? I mean, he's having to play guys consistently, both sides of the ball all game. You're banged up. You're out Wechter. you got the deck stacked against you in more ways than one. And I know Oberlin's got a tough situation in their own right, of course, but man, to overcome all of that, persevere and get that first win, albeit in week 9, what a moment for his Cards.
Happy for Scott and his guy. He works as hard as anybody out there. And,
sure.
He mentioned that Lake Catholic in those St. Ed's days, he's been on that side where he's got 70, 80 guys on the sideline and you got people to pick from and that kind of thing. And so he knows he's run the full gamut of this thing. Scott has. And I he keeps grinding away over there over at Brookside. So I'm happy for him to get that W last night.
Yeah, I always enjoy my talks with him. So glad we finally got a Saturday morning chit chat in here for 2025. So again, big thanks to Coach O'Donnell. Congratulations to him and his guys on win number 1 for the season last night over Oberlin. So we'll step aside, take a timeout. When we return, it'll be the Grizz, Don Griswold, head coach of the Keystone Wildcats, who will hopefully join us here shortly after this timeout. Again, more of the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show coming up after this timeout. Rocco, Nuosci, Tom Evans here with you on a Saturday morning. Don't go anywhere.
High school football in Lorain County is all about tradition, pride, and community, and that's what Stewart's Appliance is built on. For generations, Stewart's has been the family-owned appliance store you can count on for quality products and personal service. From refrigerators to washers, ovens to dishwashers, Stewart's has what you need to keep your home running. Proud to support Lorain County and proud to support high school sports. Stewart's Appliance, where community comes first.
Are you undecided about your future and overwhelmed by the options? Well, don't worry. You're not alone. Lorain County Community College has helped thousands of students just like you find their future career. From short-term training programs to transfer options all the way to bachelor degrees, our programs are designed to set you up for future success. Lorain County Community College. Your goals, your career, your future. Enroll today.
Happy fall and happy football season. Professional football became a fall favorite when it was introduced in 1920. That's 19 years after Ohio Mutual Insurance Group began keeping the promises that secure dreams. Stop in and see us at the Cobos Insurance Center to learn more about Ohio Mutual. Cobos can help you select the right coverage for your needs. Find us online at cobosins.com. If you want to protect your auto, home, farm, or business, you want Ohio Mutual on your team.
All right, back on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Rocco Nuosci, Tom Evans here with you on a Saturday morning, and we'll get the Grizz on here as well. There he is, Don Griswold. He's got the guys with him this morning. Look at that. How you doing, Coach?
Morning, guys. How are you?
Great,
We're doing
Grizz.
great. We're doing great. What, is that you got everybody in there behind you, or are you going through?
Yeah,
film?
doing a little film sesh this morning, gentlemen.
Good stuff, Chris.
Looks like he's going to take us around the room. Oh, never mind. All right. I was like, oh, man, I can't get put on the spot with all those guys. My goodness.
No, you notice Grizz gets the American flag in the background there, too. There's some staging going on over there at Keystone this morning, I think.
little propaganda by the Grizz this morning. You know how I feel about small-town football.
Well, that embodies it right there. That image, Don Griswold in the U.S. flag, doesn't get much better than that. So, Coach, let's talk about this one. 33-24 winners over Firelands last night. Big bounce back win for you guys after a tough one against Columbia the week prior. So, just talk to us kind of about that week of preparation, right? Having to mentally, physically bounce back, get ready for another physical team in Firelands, and you guys take care of business last night.
What a difference a week makes. We were in this very same room a week ago with a heavy dose of humility, doing what we normally do, work the process, watch the film, get better. And I'm just so proud of the way that our team responded. They want to be elite. They're competitors. They're learning how to win football games. And the last night was, wow, had a little bit of everything, but truly, I believe our first quality win over a quality team. I think we've beaten the teams we, quote, should have beat. We've lost some toss-ups, and we're really starting to form our identity. We've talked about injuries and playing young guys and all those sort of things, and there is a process to learn how to win a game, right? One of the hardest things in life to do is win a football game, and just really super proud of our resiliency, our attention to detail, our wanting to be coached hard, with love, and I'm super proud of our staff and our student athletes.
Coach, I know, just because I had the game last week, and I'll quit referencing it, but I know Columbia, I think it took you guys a little while to get going offensively. Not necessarily the case last night. I mean, Fireland, you guys force a fumble basically on that opening kickoff, right? Wyatt McKee punches it in. You guys jump out to that early lead. I know Fireland's kind of comes back, and it was sort of a back and forth affair from then on. You guys, of course, create that late separation. But what did that do just for you guys offensively, and just from a mindset, why, getting into that game, getting the fumble, getting it into the end zone, and, you guys are off and rolling?
Yeah, for sure. Again, at the end of the day, you don't truly know the mindset. You feel good about the week of preparation. You feel good about our mindset and how we feel. And that opening kickoff erased all doubts, right? Mehmet Ulipinar comes down on kickoff and just absolutely lays a smack on the returner. He fumbles, and Wyatt, punches it in a play later. Just flushed a lot of demons and set us off. Yeah, just it was really, really needed by our team. And even though we ended up, losing the lead and then coming back again, it was helpful. It was needed, and all those things, Rocco.
Grizz, you outscore them 13-8 in the second half, and maybe this is a question I should be asking the kids behind you. Did you bring a little fire and brimstone at halftime, or was it just are we tweaking some things to come out and not play them in the second half?
No, we didn't need that, right? A lot of times it's like, hey, this is how they're playing this. This is how they're playing that. This is how we're going to answer that. Just a lot. I would just say it was almost like a classroom in a halftime locker room. Just getting on the whiteboard. This is what we saw. This is what we're going to do. Just go out and execute, and they did.
Wyatt McKee, 24 carries, 173 yards last night. Talk to us about Wyatt's night.
Well, it's one of the things we already talked about as a group. Very, very proud of Wyatt on both sides of the ball. He played like a Division I football player last night on both sides of the ball. He's a force to be reckoned with. He played within himself, trusted his teammates, and just let the game come to him. Played with a lot of love and joy in his heart. Surrendered the outcome, and man, a lot of results on both sides of the ball.
Obviously Wyatt, a lot of his success doesn't come without some help from the big guys up front, right? A lot of help from those big guys up front. And we've talked about it. You've been beat up a little bit up front this year, having some different guys rotating in on that offensive line and defensive line for that matter. But, to have that kind of performance week 9, midway through October, it's been a long season. I'm sure those guys are tired. You're beat up. Everybody in the conference is beat up and banged up, right? But what does it say about the perseverance of those guys to piece together an effort like that, despite all those things kind of going against them?
Yeah, one of our 4 pillars is blue collar tough, and their grittiness, tenacity, absolutely shined last night again. And it's in a lot of ways. In some ways, that humility served to us by the guys in green certainly helped that, right? And just really proud of the way that group continues to just strive to get after it and continue just to make those incremental improvements week to week. And then when you have an explosive young man like Wyatt behind them, we have home run abilities for sure. And then, we got to showcase the home run ability of our sophomore quarterback, number 6. He was excellent last night. We're able to get a stop right before the end of the first half, and he hooked up with Brendan Hagerman for a 63-yard score. And that really, again, just like the opening kickoff, gave us a lot of confidence and momentum going into halftime.
Hey, Cole throws a nice ball, man. I found that out a little bit last week against Columbia, but I know he's put it on display plenty outside of that as well. Obviously, last night as well, he can toss a pretty football. That is for sure.
He goes 8 of 15 for 140 with a couple touchdowns. Grizz, I know that your Saturday morning film sessions are always a lot more pleasant when you got a W under your belt, but as coaches, we're always looking for something to get better. Last night, a very uncharacteristic 10 penalties for 98 yards for the Wildcats. That's really out of character for you. Are you talking a little bit about that this morning, Grizz? You're chuckling. So I know I hit a nerve.
Maybe some of them were a little unnecessary too. I think the other team, I think the guys in red maybe had one. And so just like a basketball coach who's pointing to the scoreboard, why are we in a penalty? And they've got, 1 or 2. Yeah, for sure. Again, these are 15 to 17-year-olds, and they're trying, they're not trying to do those things. We had a bunch of holding penalties, especially on the perimeter, and yeah, we'll put that on the old to-do list this week for sure.
There we go. There we go. Well, Coach, we'll let you get back to film and close with this, but, looking at joeidle.com this morning, obviously you look at that playoff positioning in your guys' region. You guys hold that last spot, if I'm not mistaken, in that 12 spot. You basically, I think, control your own destiny heading into this week. So one more to go here in the regular season. With that all being said, Coach, I'm sure your guys, not that you ever needed anyway, but I'm sure, especially this week, no extra motivation probably needed for the week of practice ahead for you guys.
No, I mean, what an absolute blessing to be relevant going into later weeks of a season, because we've had some seasons where it's like, all right, let's enjoy this week. It's our last one together, right?
Sure.
So, to have, a share of a conference title, week 11 possibilities. I mean, it's an absolute blessing, and to be able to control your own destiny. Ultimately, that's what you want in life, right? To be able to have freedom to choose jobs and spouses and where you're going to live. So, what a great correlation to the game of football, right? Take care of business. We extend the season. We get to put a number on the banner in the gym and all those sort of things. But, as you all know, and again, it's not coach speak, but just we got to handle business today. Got to rest tomorrow. Got to have a good Monday practice and so on and so forth, right? So everyone knows you don't win games on Friday. You win games on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. So.
Always good to get a couple coaching cliches here on a Saturday morning, right? But there's always truth to those. So fantastic stuff. Well, Coach Grizz, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Appreciate the thematic backdrop there with the flag in the background. So have a good rest of your guys' film session, and I'm sure we'll be catching up again here soon before it's all said and done this year.
All right, gentlemen. Have a great day.
Thanks,
Go Cats. Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
Yep. Coach Grizz, Don Griswold, kind enough to share some time with us here this morning. Certainly appreciate him. I see Coach Elder patiently awaiting in the queue, so I'll tell you what, let me get a quick sponsorship thank you. We'll be right back in about 30 seconds. Coach Elder and his Avon Eagles, a big win over their rival last night, Avon Lake. He'll join us to talk about it next, right after this timeout. Don't go anywhere.
Are you undecided about your future and overwhelmed by the options? Well, don't worry. You're not alone. Lorain County Community College has helped thousands of students just like you find their future career. From short-term training programs to transfer options all the way to bachelor degrees, our programs are designed to set you up for future success. Lorain County Community College. Your goals, your career, your future. Enroll today.
At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford this month, you choose. Right now, get the Escape, Mach-E, Mustang, or Bronco Sport for only $399 a month with 0 down. Or the Bronco, Explorer, or F-150 for just $499 a month. At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, we make it that easy.
All right, back here on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Rocco, Nuosci, Tom Evans here with you as I battle my newspaper here in front of me. Thank you, Chronicle Telegram, for that. But let's bring him on here to the stage. Mike Elder, head coach of the Avon Eagles. He was mobile a couple of weeks ago. He was planted at the JV last week, and now he's on the road again here this week. If nothing else, Coach Elder, you keep it fresh here on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show, so we can appreciate that, right?
Yeah, well, it depends on what time you guys reach out to me, right? So I'm on my way to the JV game right now. We actually have 2 games going on this morning. We have a Brush at home, and then we're at Lake against our rivals. So I'm going to spend the first half at Brush and head over to see the other guys in the second half. So it's a blessing to have so many guys in our program that we can play 2 games on a Saturday to get them ample playing time. And, playing time trumps winning at that level, in our opinion. So that's where I'm going. I'll be there in a minute, thank goodness. So I'll be stopping and driving in a second.
Well, it sounds like you're driving safe. I hear the turn signal working too, Mike. So you're just not cutting in and out of traffic. So we appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Well, let's talk about this one last night, right? You guys get a big win over your rival, final score 43-12. And I mean, hey, right, I'm sure you'd be the first to say credit Avon Lake for a nice early fight against you guys. Obviously, you create some separation on that scoreboard, as the final would clearly indicate and dictate. But Avon Lake kind of came out. They throw the first punch, but you guys answer right back. Just kind of talk to me about that. Your guys kind of being able to take that in a rivalry game. I'm sure emotions were high, but they weather the storm quickly and then handle their business.
Yeah, look, the score's not indicative of the fight that went on last night in that stadium. And so, I want to compliment Coach Kostelnik and his players. We have tremendous respect for those guys. And, I never really understand rivalries where people, hate on their rivals. To me, it's built on respect. When I got here 19 years ago, I aspired to be what they were at the time, and those kids came ready to play last night. We started off on offense. We turned the ball over. We had a fumble, I think, on the second play from scrimmage, and they went down and scored and went up 7-0. Actually, they missed the extra point, so it was 6-0. But, that was awesome for our kids because we had to respond to adversity there, and we did. We went down and scored, and but the whole entire first half, the score was 21-9 at half, and it ended with them throwing an interception into the end zone right before halftime. And then they were getting the ball coming out, and then they went straight down the field and got down to like the 4-yard line, and our defense in the red zone stopped them 2 times. So it was a really, really hard fought game between 2 good teams. And, they've had some tough luck this year. The Shoremen have lost some close games, and their season could have gone either direction. And they're certainly good. They're a formidable opponent, and we have a lot of respect for them. And we're going to enjoy this win because it was hard fought. It didn't come easy.
Well, let's talk about your quarterback, right? Blake Elder. I mean, nothing but efficiency last night from the young man. As I look at his stat line here in the Chronicle Telegram this morning, 14 of 15 through the air, 346 yards, 5 touchdowns coming off the arm of Blake. Talk to me about his night. Again, very efficient in the passing game.
Yeah, he had a great game, and Blake's having a really good season, and it's been fun to watch his confidence grow throughout every week, and just knowing that he belongs, and he's a really good varsity quarterback, in my opinion, one of the best quarterbacks in Ohio. And, I don't always like to say that, about your son, but the truth is he deserves that. And he waited his turn patiently. He had a guy named Nolan Good in front of him, and Nolan's one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play here, and led us to a state championship. But, Blake got to play as a sophomore when there was an injury to Nolan, an unfortunate injury to Nolan. And he played in a big game against Olmsted Falls where he led us to victory in the playoffs when we were down at halftime. He's, played in a regional final game and led us to victory, and lost by 3 to Hoban. So that sophomore experience, in big games, he's had that already. And now he's playing with great confidence, and he should. He's got a great supporting cast around him. Our O-line's protecting him well. And so he's having a fantastic year, and, he's having an all-Ohio type year, and I couldn't be more proud of him.
Spread it around 8 different receivers last night too. You got Grant Barr out there, and I think you can just talk about the maturation of Blake at quarterback, because when you got a guy like Grant Barr, it'd be real easy to throw to him on every down, but he spreads it around to 8 different receivers last night too, and it really that's difficult to defend. I don't care who you are on the other side. Mike, I want to talk a little bit about defending against the Shoremen. They've got some skill players. Aiden Stewart, he's a low. The Summerfield's also pretty good. But your defense has been, I hate to say understated, but they've been understated. Your defense has been stifling all season long. Talk to us about shutting down the Shoremen.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Our defense, defense wins championships. We say that, and we played great defense last year, and that's why we won a state championship. And we have a great defense again this year. But I think the Shoremen probably have more success than anybody moving the ball against us. But where we're really good is when we get in that red zone, man. It is hard to score on our defense, and again, that's demoralizing to an offense when you can turn them away. And at the end of the half, like I mentioned, we had Caden Clapham had the big interception, and then they got the ball first coming out, and they were down in the red zone, and we were able to hold them to a field goal there. We backed them up with some big defensive plays. So they don't give up points, and if teams don't score and you have good special teams and offense like we do, it's a recipe to have a chance in every game, and that's how we feel. We feel like we have a chance in any game, and that's exciting.
Mike, we've talked off air about the playoffs coming from 16 down to 12. You guys are in line for a first round bye, and I think everybody thinks that's all well and good. There's a lot of work that goes into preparing for a bye. You've done this for a long time because they're high school kids, and they give them a week off and they have them still stay sharp. Have you thought about that much? Have you thought about what your preparation is going to be as you inch closer to that?
Well, I have, yeah. And, I'm blessed to have a guy named Larry Karras in my corner. Coach Karras watches film for me. And, he doesn't overstep, but I respect him and value his opinion so much. He's a legendary to winningest coach in college football history who picks up my phone calls every time I call. And he and I had a big conversation.
That's a nice film evaluator to have at a phone call away, Mike.
Yeah. And, he's a truth teller for me. So he's not afraid to tell me I'm a knucklehead. And I like that. I need that. I know that I make a lot of mistakes and certainly I'm always trying to learn from them. And that's how we preach to our kids too. Like, you always learn through every opportunity. But he and I talked about how to handle that bye week. And I let him talk, and I had a tentative plan in my mind. So it made me feel really good. And I was able to confirm what we're doing, here in Avon. Through him. So that was big. I'm lucky to have him, and I feel good about it. You reduce the risk of an injury. That's nice, right? In that, having that bye, but you are right. You're going to play an opponent the next week who just came out of a playoff atmosphere and game. And that's concerning to me, but at the same time, we'll take the rest. We kind of need it right now. And we'll be ready to go week 12. We'll make sure of that.
A long, grueling season. I think most coaches would sign up for any kind of quick rest that they can get. But you're right. I mean, it is tough with one team coming off being in a playoff atmosphere. Obviously, your guys are battle tested, most of those guys on the roster, if not all of them. But, that can certainly be a challenge. So certainly understand that. Well, Coach, we'll let you get on the JV duty. But thank you very much for the time this morning. Always appreciate it. Congratulations on the rivalry win last night. Best of luck as you guys get set to take on Elyria with playoffs right around the corner. And I'm sure we'll be catching up again here in the near future, Coach.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks again, Rocco and Tom. You guys are the best.
Take care, Mike.
Thank you. It's Mike Elder, head coach of the Avon Eagle. We're the best, Tom. How many times has that been said unironically over the years? Not too many,
by you and I, maybe once or twice.
Right. Well, we're talking
not
about
Jared,
coaches.
Not Rob. I mean, really, they're not. They're selling it short.
Well, we can't beat up on them too bad. They're not here to defend themselves. So
we can beat them up all we want.
that's you know what? That's fair. That's fair. I'll let you kind of take the charge. I'll kind of cower behind.
So we're in the broadcast business, and the rule in broadcast business, the guy with the mic last always wins.
Well, there you go. That's I'll write that down. We'll pocket that for future use. All right, final guest of the 9 o'clock hour. It's Michael Keefe, not a head coach, but rather the voice of the WEOL.com Stream 3 Medina County matchup. You were at your alma mater last night, right? At old Rocky River. There it is.
Say, he still got the maroon. He still got the maroon shirt on today.
Well, I'm sure that got you into the press box. Maybe it didn't make you too many friends on the opposite sideline for those wearing orange, but ultimately they get the last laugh last night, right? Buckeye kind of sealing the deal, as far as I know, right, in the Cleveland West Conference by knocking off Rocky River. So Michael Keefe, again, voice of that matchup and the Medina County matchup all season long, joined us. Michael, tell us about that one last night over there on Rocky River.
Well, first of all, I know how Coach Elder ended that interview, but now the best is here. Now we've got in the building. Now what's going on, boys? We had the game of the season last night. It was absolutely electric in Rocky River. And yes, it is my alma mater. And yes, I love being there and watching it and seeing a lot of old faces in the stands. But certainly had no cheering interest as, after covering Buckeye the last 15 years.
Good man.
It was really, really awesome to watch that game. Guys, you'll remember this game it's the same. It's a rematch of last year where this game meant conference title, week 9. It was in Buckeye last year. Rocky River came in with 1 loss. Buckeye came in undefeated. Same exact concept as this year. And Buckeye won that game 55-0 last year. This year, totally different story. Rocky River was awesome last night. They were awesome. They just were not quite as awesome as the Buckeye Bucks. This game was everything you could have wanted. Both teams just throwing haymakers and both teams landing them. Rocky River has such a high-powered offense. Their quarterback, Ryan Taylor, is unbelievable. They've got unbelievable weapons on the outside. They spread you out. Buckeye did not have a lot of answers for them. Buckeye, on the other hand, I formation all game long. Turn and hand the ball off all game long, and Rocky River couldn't stop it. It was Buckeye just flexing the muscle last night. And you're exactly right, Rocco. With the victory, the Buckeye Bucks officially are the Cleveland West Conference champions again. Greg Dennison and his bunch. It was a pleasure. It was one of those games where you leave going, "Oh, I am so lucky to have been on this one."
Well, I'm sure, Tomo, God bless him, was smiling down on that one, right?
Yeah,
a heavy dose of the I formation.
that's
Run the ball, run the ball. That'll certainly play. That'll certainly play. So, no, glad it was a thrilling one for you, Michael. Glad that one went down as we all hoped it would. It certainly was a riveting matchup. Any other kind of standout things happen in and around Medina County last night? I know Highland obviously kind of maintained the dominance that they've put on display on more than one occasion this season, but kind of give us a recap, if you will, of the Medina County football scene last night.
Yeah, there were some things that happened last night that you fully expected. There's the Buckeye Bucks 9-0 on the season now. Highland, Wadsworth both went into their opponents. Highland, it was Revere. Revere came into that game 6-1, and Highland just took care of them like it was nothing, 49-7.
I did that game last year, and we thought we were going to have a game over at Highland, and boy, they just boat raced them. They just ran them right out of the stadium last year.
Yeah, it is what Coach Mike Gibbons and that crew does at Highland. Wadsworth did the same thing to Stowe Monroe Falls. 50-20 was the final there. So really the top three Medina County teams of the 7, Highland, Wadsworth, Buckeye, did what they were supposed to do. Those 3 teams are all going to have a first round bye within their divisions. Buckeye will probably be the 1 seed. It looks like Highland will probably be the 1 seed in Division II, Region 6. So those teams will all get byes. Then there was a little disappointment just in this. Medina, their season pretty much comes to a close last night. They lose to Euclid. Now I think their playoff hopes are pretty much shot. But you had 2 other teams that I think were hoping for at least home playoff games that really had disappointing finishes to their games last night. We'll see next week, Brunswick and Strongsville. Brunswick was up late in the game, 21-7 over Cleveland Heights. They were really controlling that game, and I don't know what happened, but they just completely lapsed. Cleveland Heights came back and stole the game from Brunswick very, very late. And then Cloverleaf has been so good all season and just so steady. And their 2 losses on the year were to Buckeye, which of course, and to Norton, who's going to win that conference. And then they play a Woodridge team that has not done very much this season, and they just kind of have a lapse, and they lose to Woodridge before the game against Streetsboro. It's kind of like they looked ahead. So just an interesting development there. And then I think both Buckeye and Cloverleaf were hoping to host a playoff game that first round, and now it looks like they might both be on the road to start that first round in the playoffs. They should still both be in the playoffs, but they're probably not going to be hosting any games. And then lastly, Black River hanging on for dear life. The top 12 get in each region. Black River sitting currently at 13 in their region with 2 really winnable games, though. And they started last night by smashing Wellington. And then they get Oberlin next week. So that'll be the other interesting thing to watch in Medina County is, can Black River, can one more win get them into the postseason?
All right. So we'll certainly keep our eyes on that. And, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you this morning, Mr. Division II, Region 6 super fan over here, right? With, you already said it, Highland at the top right now. Looks like that's probably where they'll finish. Defending state champion Avon right behind them. Wadsworth 3rd, North Ridgeville 4th, Olmsted Falls 5th. So the top 5 teams, all of local interest to us here at WEOL.com and the Chronicle Telegram. So, obviously the bye week plays a big factor into how this scheduling will shake out. But that's, as it always is, just a riveting region of high school football, and one that I think a lot of eyeballs will be, attentive to here in the coming weeks.
Well, yeah, and I think I think the bye is crucial to start, because you get into teams, 5, 6, 7, 8. You're not talking about kind of schlubby teams in Division II, Region 6.
Oh,
you're talking about Anthony Wayne. You're talking about Olmsted Falls. You're talking about St. Francis de Sales.
Right.
There's still some pretty good teams. You're talking about, and I know, you certainly wouldn't pick them in just like if people were asking you, but you're talking about a Valley Forge team that's come up and surprised some games. They beat Bay out of nowhere this year. And so getting that first round, and I know you heard Mike Elder talking about it, it's interesting just because you're going to get a team that just comes off of winning a playoff game. So they've earned a little momentum going into that, but to get a little bit of rest, you're starting to see it now. You guys have been around for a long time. We started to see it last night on both Buckeye and Rocky River. 9 weeks into the season, some of these, I know they're kids and they bounce back really easily, but some of these aches and pains are starting to affect these kids after a long, grueling season. And so to be able to get some rest, get some practice, get some, just prep for a game, I think it'll be huge for these teams that are able to earn these buys.
Well, the other thing about Region 6, too, and we've seen this happen year in, year out, North Ridgeville and Olmsted Falls could possibly play twice in 3 weeks. They're going to match up next week, and that very well could be the after the second week of the playoff matchup there as well. And really, it doesn't matter which one wins, I think, because Olmsted Falls has the opportunity to jump North Ridgeville into that 4 or 5 spot. So it's a matter of who's going to get the bye, who's going to play a first week game. I think that's the way that shakes out. And and we talked about it in the SWC before, you beat each other up during a conference play, then you turn around. Here's one of my conference opponents again in week 1 or week 2 of the playoffs. And boy, it really takes a lot to beat the same team twice in 1 year as well. So, talk to us about that whole seeing a team for the second time and even maybe that close to each other, Mike.
Well, and you're talking about Division II, Region 6, and I'm in my brain coming up with other scenarios that we see pretty consistently around Lorain County, Medina County. I remember a couple years ago, it was Black River and Columbia, and the last week of the season, Columbia smashed Black River. Like it wasn't even. Normally, that's a pretty competitive game. This was not. And then they turned around and played in the playoffs, and Columbia had to squeak by and win by 2 points. So, like you said, when it's familiar opponents and when, especially, these guys all know each other, especially Medina County. It's not the smallest county on the planet, but there's only 7 schools down there. Right. So these guys know each other. Or Lorain County, they are so familiar SWC opponents that, you can learn something even in a loss and apply it to the next game. You can change something to where your opponent thinks it's going to go one way and it doesn't. And we do see it play out that way every single year, both in the regular season and the playoffs. And so, yeah, listen, that is whoever gets that 4 spot. And I think unless Ridgeville falls off too dramatically, I mean, they're pretty, it looks like the computer ranking has them pretty distantly ahead of Olmsted Falls. But again, that's the matchup this week. So I guess we'll see what that does. But whichever one it is, if that was the second week matchup, if they play week 10 and then turn back around, you just have it's almost kind of like, guys, it's almost kind of like what you see in week 10 is not even a precursor to what might happen in the second week of the playoffs. It's like a totally clean slate. And whatever happens week 10, it's almost like it didn't even happen once that game happens.
Yeah. Well, and that extends even beyond high school football. And I'm already kicking myself for going down this road, and you two are going to kick me as well. Mike, I guess you'll punch me through the screen. But I think back to the Guardians, right? With the MLB owned the Detroit Tigers for the entire month of September, and then proceed to get bounced in the divisional round, the wild card round by the Tigers. So yeah, and that certainly translates to high school football. To your point, that can certainly happen. It's tough to beat opponents consistently or twice in a row with football, whatever it is. So, all right, sir. Well, start of the 10 o'clock hour is already here, so we'll let you go with this, my friend. You were into all kinds of fall festivities last time I had checked in on you, right? You had the missus, you had the kids. You guys were out and about doing 55 different things on a Saturday afternoon. Much of the same here. We just taking in some football today. What do we got going on in the in Michael Keefe country?
Yeah, listen, I think today we got a little family stuff going on. Getting some kids together with their cousins, which always usually just amounts to me and said uncles just having a couple garage beers if we want to do that.
I was going to say, I know it's on the menu for you this afternoon.
Probably get some garage beers going, watch a little football. Here's the thing, guys. I made apparently the critical error of taking my family to Miami last year. And my son fell in love with Miami, and now my son loves.
They get a taste for that, boy. They once they've had filet mignon, they don't want a hamburger anymore. I'm going to tell you that right now, Michael.
Well, and my son is not the biggest sport. He's only 8. He's not the biggest sports guy, but he fell in love with Miami and therefore fell in love with Miami sports teams.
Oh my!
Which has been hilarious because he thought the Miami Heat were going to beat the Cavs in the playoffs, and that was really fun to watch with him last year. But the Miami Dolphins are in town to take on the Browns.
That's right.
I was gonna take him. I was all full on ready to take him, and then I looked at the weather, and it was like 70-mile-an-hour winds and rain. And I'm like, I don't think I'm taking him. So we'll probably watch that game from the comfort of our own home, or at least until I get fed up and don't want to watch any more of the pathetic nature of what happens down on the lakeshore.
Wow, that's funny. He's a Heat fan. My younger brother, for reasons that I can't explain, is randomly also a Miami Heat basketball fan. Like,
okay,
fan.
Golden State fan.
I know. I'm worse. I'm the worst sports fan of all time. I'm a former college roommate, and I fully accept that and understand that.
Don't make me open a window and throw him out here, Michael.
Talk
about Golden State for crying.
Well, so what's on like the Christmas docket for young Keith? We got like a Tyler Hero Vice City jersey on the way, or what's going on there?
Yeah, there will probably be some Miami stuff, but it won't be too much. Hey, listen, we all went through it as kids. I think most of us went through it as kids. At least in my generation, I grew up in the starter jacket generation.
There you go.
And I had a Charlotte Hornets starter jacket. I had an Alonzo Mourning jersey.
Sure.
But I'm a full Cleveland guy. So yeah, you know what? You foster it. It helps the kids fall in love with sports. If they like a team from Miami, that's cool. But we won't do it too much. It'll be mostly Minecraft and then a little bit of that.
There you go.
We got somebody coming in now.
The studio. That means time's up. That means he's got to go. They're breaking in. So under the stairs, they're into his den down there. So there he is.
She just decided to come on in and hide out. So that usually is what that means. You want to say hi?
What are you?
Lucy, say hi. Okay, well, she's playing again.
This is like you're in the post-game NBA press conference.
We're live, Lucy. We are live.
That's hilarious. So she's got her tablet.
All right, guys.
She's occupied. So thanks, Michael. Appreciate it. Enjoy the Saturday.
Say bye.
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 Here's Michael Keefe, voice of our Stream 3 Medina County matchup, kind enough to share some time with us here this morning. I mean, that's going to get interesting. Obviously, we talked about Division 2, Region 6 there. That'll be crazy here this week to see what happens on Friday, how that shakes up the standings. Ridgeville and Oak Falls obviously certainly have the marquee matchup there, but interesting to see how that'll play out playoff-wise. I think he's right with Brunswick dropping one that we didn't necessarily expect. That's interesting for them now with a home playoff game kind of thrown into precarious position.
It really, and with a tough road to hoe with a really good Strongsville team week 10 as well.
Well, that'll be our Stream 3 Medina County matchup. We got one of our three matchups solidified for this upcoming week, and that is our Stream 3 Medina County matchup between Brunswick and Strongsville. So we'll certainly look forward to seeing how that one plays out. We'll have to have some talks with Jared Kozar either later on today or tomorrow or Monday morning, whatever, to figure out the rest of our matchups on WEOL.com and on the Chronicle Telegram YouTube channel. We always kind of leave week 10 time, as you know, up for grabs just to see where things are shaking out conference standings wise and everything. And it's interesting here in week 10. And that's all you can really ask for from a coverage standpoint.
I think we have some good choices here coming down the road.
That's all you can ask for, some options, right? So there you go. Well, you gave us options, right, this morning with your bakery selection that you brought in. I had which flavor of fritter did you give me?
I got a peach fritter this morning.
Okay, I'm about halfway through it. It's still sitting back there at my desk. But, yeah, that was a load to try to handle, my friend. That was delicious. I'm in danger now of purchasing more of those as the weeks go on. So that's how I'll phrase that. But all right, so that's it for the 9 o'clock hour. I know we're already into the 10 o'clock hour. Let's take a quick timeout. Big 10 o'clock hour lined up for you guys. Brian Morgan from North Ridgeville will join us here in a couple of short minutes. Kyle Clark from Black River, a big win for his Pirates last night over Wellington. We'll talk to him at about 10:20 or thereabouts. Texted Tim Alcorn, radio voice of the Cavs. I know he's got an appointment this morning that should be underway right now, actually. But he said if he was able to, he would join us with the Cavs season getting ready to rock and roll next week, or this upcoming week, I should say. So we're looking forward to the Wine and Golders getting started, and we'll see what other kind of trouble we can get into in the 10 o'clock hour. More of the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show back your way after this. Rocco, Nuosci, Tom Evans here with you live this morning on the Chronicle Telegram YouTube channel. And Tom, we're online elsewhere, my friend.
At WEOL.com.
At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford this month, you choose. Right now, get the Escape, Mach-E, Mustang, or Bronco Sport for only $399 a month with 0 down. Or the Bronco, Explorer, or F-150 for just $499 a month. At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, we make it that easy.
High school football in Lorain County is all about tradition, pride, and community, and that's what Stewart's Appliance is built on. For generations, Stewart's has been the family-owned appliance store you can count on for quality products and personal service. From refrigerators to washers, ovens to dishwashers, Stewart's has what you need to keep your home running. Proud to support Lorain County and proud to support high school sports. Stewart's Appliance, where community comes first.
Hi, Tim Alcorn, radio voice of the Cavs. For several years, you've heard me talk about Eco-Tree Services on WEOL. Recently, I needed trees removed, so of course, I contacted Eco-Tree. They did an incredible job. The folks at EcoTree were timely, efficient, and the work was flawless. Take it from me. When your trees need attention or even require removal, contact EcoTree Services. Like me, you'll love their work. Find EcoTree Services online at ecotreeservices.com.
Lorain County Community College is where you'll lock in your future success. We've helped thousands of people just like you match skills and experience with a career. We can help you train for a career that is in demand right now. You can even work in your field while taking classes. LCCC will get you prepared, get you credentialed, and get you working. Lorain County Community College. Your goals, your career, your future. Enroll today.
Fall is the season of change, and when things change in your life, be sure you have the best protection for what matters most to you. At the Kobos Insurance Agency, we're committed to helping you select the best insurance to accommodate the changing needs in your life. That's why Kobos recommends Ohio Mutual Insurance Group. Since 1901, Ohio Mutual has been keeping the promises that secure dreams. Find us online at kobosins.com. We'd love to help evaluate your insurance needs and recommend the best coverage from the best companies like Ohio Mutual.
All right, here we are back on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Rocco, Nuosci, Tom Evans doing a little speed eating there during the timeout. Got to enjoy some of the delectable treats that, Tom, you were kind enough to bring in this morning. Always appreciate that. You and Jared, man, I'll tell you what, when I link up with you two, Jans is selfish. He doesn't always bring in the treats unless he's got something from Lisa Ward the night before.
Well, I got brownies from my wife last night, too.
Oh, well, there you go. But you and Jared, man, you guys are selfless coming through the doors of the CT on a Saturday morning, so I can certainly appreciate that. Again, big 10 o'clock hour of the wrap-up show lined up for you guys here this morning. Again, big thanks to our sponsors, Nick Abraham, Elyria Ford, Lorain County Community College, Stewart's TV and Appliance, EcoTree Services, and our friends at Kobos Insurance Center. So let's waste no time. Bring him on in. Brian Morgan, head coach of the North Ridgeville Rangers. His guys victorious on the YouTube game of the week last night, 42-28 was the final score there. Coach, first and foremost, good morning. I know last time I had talked to you on the show, I think at least we kind of joked about, that victory, whatever night that was, didn't come down to kind of a close fourth quarter finish. The heart palpitations and the heart health were back to kind of, normal levels for you. But right back to another nitty gritty down to the wire game last night. It ends up being a 2-score game, but I know, Tom, you were on hand to see it. Probably didn't play out that way throughout most of the contest, but I'm sure good to join us here on a Saturday after a win, isn't it?
Yeah, first, I heard about those brownies, but Tom didn't offer me any of them last night. So,
I didn't want you to start the night that way, Brian.
Yeah, Ron brought it up, but they never made their way down to the sidelines. So.
Wow. Uh-oh. We're in trouble.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Another good football game. I said that. For the North Ridgeville Rangers should start charging $25 a ticket for our games because they're entertaining to watch for sure.
Yeah.
Well, but Brian, you got to talk to them. They need an AED machine in the press box too, because if you guys are going to play like that, it's just you got to have one around. Brian, I want to talk to you a little bit. Ron and I were talking at halftime, and it's a 1-score game, but it could very easily have been 42-0. You guys, did you go in a little frustrated at halftime, or you just say, "Nah, we're just missing a few things here. We'll be okay in the second half"? It was kind of just odd because your defense played so well, but then gave up a couple of big plays. Talk to us a little bit about that first half of football last night.
Yeah, going up 21-0, you everybody would be frustrated if you went in 21-14. And some of it was on me. We should have punted. On fourth down on the last drive that gave Amherst the short field to be able to hit the big bomb right before the half ended. And we didn't have much success on 4th and medium and 4th and short, which we've got to be able to execute that, and the defense has got to make sure that nobody gets behind them and that we can make a play on a ball. But that I'll take that one because we should have pinned them deep. But, after the frustrations, after the watching the film at halftime and talking to the kids about it, we were confident that we could come out and have a successful second half and give credit to Amherst. They played a great game. Cy Christensen's a special talent at quarterback, especially did a lot of things with his feet yesterday. that really hurt us. So, it was a good football game, but we were feeling pretty good when we came out of halftime.
And I want to elaborate on it. We'll get to the offense because you had a great night offensively, but defensively, I thought you guys were with the exception maybe one or two plays in the first half. That's maybe one of the best defensive halves I've seen in a long time, especially against a quarterback like Christensen. You gave him a lot of different looks. You gave him some 6-man front looks and maybe brought 6, maybe brought 4. Talk to us about the defensive scheme last night and really shutting him down, because you did. I think he threw more balls into the sideline last night than a lot of guys do in a season. And that was because he was under pressure and you guys were just not giving him any room to make plays last night.
Yeah, Carl Roberts, our defensive line coach, has been preaching to the guys, when we get a pass rush to hit the gap, not the man. And, we were able to get pressure with defensive linemen last night, but that sometimes we don't get. We have to send linebackers, but they did a great job last night. Was able to give a different look. We crowd the line of scrimmage, bail the linebackers. Drew Floyd, our defensive coordinator, did a good job of mixing it up to try to confuse Sy on what he was seeing. And, we've got some corners right now that are playing some pretty good football. So we kind of let them run around with wide receivers. And to their credit, there weren't a lot of guys open downfield either.
That's a pretty good set of skill players on Amherst side, and those are your two youngsters. I think you got a sophomore and a junior at the corners, and boy, they stood up well last night against some pretty good receivers. They almost remind me a little of Brea Mid-Park with what they've got at the skilled positions. Did you approach it that way a little bit?
Yeah, we talked about it going into this year that the speed at corner was pretty good. Javon Harris is a kid who transferred in halfway through the year last year. He was a North Ridgeville kid. He actually, the Redwoods, if you guys remember the Redwoods from Midview, he's their nephew. So they moved down to Tennessee for a little bit and then came back, and we're really glad he came back because every single week he gets better. And, he's right around a 4.5, probably going to be a 4.4 speed guy when he gets to be a senior, big track guy as well. And Jaden Williams on the other side is a junior that, got some rotational stuff as a sophomore last year, but, has really been playing well this year and getting better every single game. So when you got guys that can cover the number one receiver without any help from your safeties, it allows Brian Strippy and Carter Clark to come up and make some plays. Carter's really good at running the lanes and getting tackles, and Brian Strippy has 6 interceptions on the year. So he can float around and he can steal some footballs from the other team.
Well, and it's amazing, Coach, how versatile your secondary is. I mean, I've had the fortune of seeing you guys a couple of times this year, 2 or 3 times, maybe even 4, if I'm not mistaken. But you're right, guys like Strippy and some of the other names you mentioned, they can do so much. I mean, they can get downhill, rally to the ball if they need to. Obviously, the ball in the air skills, the ball tracking, however you want to phrase it, that's on point for those guys as well. And that probably just has to open up so much for what you guys can do defensively on the front, right? When you got so much, ability and diversity in the back end, it can kind of let you get a little more aggressive up front, I would think.
Yeah, I'm sure Avon and Brea Mid-Park would disagree with me because Brea Mid-Park, I think, threw for over 500 yards on us, and Avon had absolutely no problem exploiting what we do. But, the other games, they're doing a good job of keeping guys in front, being on the hip, and really it's just that makeup speed. You get good wide receivers like you had last night, and it looks like they burnt, and then all of a sudden Jaden Williams is on the hip, knocking the ball down, and their ability to tackle in space is pretty good too right now. So letting our linebackers worry about the run, drop into their zones when they get a pass read. Makes it so that we can really concentrate on stopping the run, which is what our defense is built for. We want teams to have to throw against us, and it'll be helpful going into this game on Friday night against Homestead Falls.
Well, obviously a big one Friday. The last thing I want to ask you about from last night, though, Coach, Mason Allison. I mean, you've talked all year about the different receivers that have been beat up for you guys. I mean, you guys are really having to do some depth chart shuffling with the injuries that you had specifically at that wideout position. But Mason Allison, he gets his first varsity touchdown for you guys last night. Cole Miller, was that another throw on the run from him where he's stiff-arming people and getting rid of that football? He seems to be better on the run than he is with his feet set this season. My gosh. But I think that speaks on, first, Mason's ability to step up when needed, but also Cole Miller's ability to continue to develop chemistry with different targets, despite maybe missing some of his, usual top targets at that spot.
Yeah, we started out the season with 4 varsity wide receivers. Now we're down to 2. And, Mason has stepped up. He was a JV player at the beginning of the year. I was really glad for him to get the touchdown in the way he got it, because he dropped one early on in the first half where I think he could have walked in. We just wanted to get him the confidence. He actually caught a touchdown pass against Avon Lake last week, but it was called back for a holding call. So, he's been right on the edge of having a breakout game. And we're hoping that, that catch last night really takes him into the next level, because he's got speed. He can catch the ball really well. He runs good routes. And we're really excited to see the future for him.
Yeah. And I coach it from the press box. I don't know how he stayed in bounds. When Cole went to the sideline and he started coming across, they said there's no way that he can catch that ball in bounds, yet he stays in bounds and somehow gets turned and gets downfield for the touchdown. It just didn't look like from our angle like that was possible. And boy, they both made great plays on that play last night.
Yeah. I mean, we were the same way. Yeah, we were waiting for a whistle and nothing happened. He turned his hips quick and planted his feet, and he was just got behind everybody. It was actually a quick tempo throw pass play that we called, and nothing was there. Cole does what he does, and he makes a move and lets our guys go into scramble drill, and Mason just found the spot, and he ran right to it, and it was a huge play for us and sealed the win.
Well, obviously, there's no secret about the importance of this week for you guys, Coach. Right?
No. I'm not, Rocco. You're not jumping in. I got to talk to you more about the offense, Brian. We can talk about this week, because we can't talk about last night without talking about. Did you find yourself a tailback last night?
Yeah.
At Fletcher, 18 carries for 132 yards. Listen. The old offensive line coach in me wants to strap a saddle on him and give him the ball 25 times a game. But I thought he was special last night, Coach.
Yeah, Matt, the Flesher name has been a big name in North Ridgeville. He's the third of boys that have played football here. Andrew, just graduated last year. He holds the record for most starts in North Ridgeville history. He started every single game his entire high school career on the offensive line. And, Matthew, as a freshman last year, when he had the ball in his hands, he made things happen. And, we had him at a slot position. We knew he needed to play when Zach Barnhart was healthy. And then as soon as, Zach went down, we looked at 2 sophomores. And, as soon as Matthew got his hands on the ball, we could tell that he was going to be special. And last night he broke a couple big runs and showed his speed. And he's a strong kid, a weight room guy. It's almost nice to see the, passing of the baton from Zach to Matthew.
I got one more here. And you can't talk about your offense without talking about Cole. And this almost, he had a quiet 128 yards rushing last night. And he, for a kid that's 6'4", he has the ability to make that step into the line and then all of a sudden bounce it outside. And he's out there with 2 strides, and the defense is saying, what just happened to us? Talk to us about Cole last night.
Yeah, I mean, we say it all the time. There's plays that we design, and then there's plays that Cole Miller does. It's like
So you're not throwing those up, Brian, because I'm sitting there. Those are
well, against Midview, we would just call the same play, and he would just go back there and just make a play, and our guys know when they see him running, just go find an open spot, and he would either take off and get us the first down, or he'd throw the ball down the field for a touchdown. And we joke around, call him Superman, because he does things on the field that other people can't do. And I think it was the second touchdown run he had. It was supposed to be an A gap, and he bounced it. 2 guys hit each other, and he goes walking into the end zone for a score. So, I don't know. We joke around. Our defensive coordinator says, I don't know what the answer is, and I'm really glad I don't have to try to figure it out on how to try to stop him.
Without question. I'll let Rocco get to week 10 now. I wouldn't let you off the air without talking about the Flesher and Cole, though, because they both had great nights last night.
They've been special
all year, no
question. But yeah, Coach, we can close with this, and you're always transparent about this. We appreciate that, right? But I mean, you know what's on the line here in Week 10, right? Going up against Olmsted Falls, you guys are both fighting for playoff positioning in your respective region. And we obviously have followed that along here on WEOL. But for you guys, how do you approach this week? Is it kind of business as usual? Do you lean into that with the kids at all? What's the typical mindset for a Coach Morgan team with kind of the week ahead lined up?
Well, I think that if you take a look at Midview, it's the only real game where we really talk about, the opponent more than what we need to do. We respect everybody, but at the same time, we talked to the seniors about halfway through the year, about history. Last night with the 8th win, this is the winningest 4-year span in North Ridgeville history. Wow. And, so we talked about that. Like you guys are in the history books now. And if we win, Friday night, it'll be, the first time in 3 decades that a North Ridgeville team had 9 wins. If we're able to get to 10, it'll tie, school history. 11 would break it. So, we talk about that as a motivating factor. The kids know the opponents. We go over the scouting reports, all those things, but, you just have to, show up and be the best football team you can be every Friday night. And, a little luck sometimes and things go our way. And here we are at 8-1.
There you go. Well, I didn't realize that. Wow. So congratulations to you and your guys on that accomplishment. That is fantastic. What a moment, I'm sure, for those seniors to kind of etch themselves into the history books like that. So that is a fantastic accomplishment. Congratulations again to you guys on that. Well, Coach, we'll let you go finally, but thank you again very much for the time this morning. Always appreciate it. Another big one, because why wouldn't it be a big one lined up for you guys again this week? So I'm sure we'll be catching up again here soon before it's all said and done this year.
And Brian, when we catch in the playoffs, you're on the brownie list. Okay. So I'll make sure that the wife knows we got to up the ante a little bit. So we'll make sure we take care of you on the brownie end of that.
All right, I got some big guys on staff too, so make sure she triples that.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Take care, Coach. That's Coach Brian Morgan, head coach of the North Ridgeville Rangers, kind enough to spend some time with us here this morning. Awesome conversation with him as always. I see you, Kyle Clark, below us in the queue, getting ready to go on. So give us 1 quick minute for a quick sponsorship thank you, and when we return, we will be joined by Black River head football coach Kyle Clark, head man of the Pirates. We'll talk some Pirate football after their win over Wellington last night with Coach Clark next. Rocco, Nuosci, Tom Evans here with you on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show, WEOL.com, and on the Chronicle Telegram YouTube channel.
At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford this month, you choose. Right now, get the Escape, Mach-E, Mustang, or Bronco Sport for only $399 a month with 0 down, or the Bronco, Explorer, or F-150 for just $499 a month. At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, we make it that easy.
High school football in Lorain County is all about tradition, pride, and community, and that's what Stewart's Appliance is built on. For generations, Stewart's has been the family-owned appliance store you can count on for quality products and personal service. From refrigerators to washers, ovens to dishwashers, Stewart's has what you need to keep your home running. Proud to support Lorain County and proud to support high school sports. Stewart's Appliance, where community comes first.
Are you undecided about your future and overwhelmed by the options? Well, don't worry, you're not alone. Lorain County Community College has helped thousands of students just like you find their future career. From short-term training programs to transfer options all the way to bachelor degrees, our programs are designed to set you up for future success. Lorain County Community College, your goals, your career, your future. Enroll today.
Rocco, Nuosci, Tom Evans back here with you on this morning's Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Week 9 action in the books as we get you ready for Week 10, the end of the regular season with those playoffs, right? Right around the corner. It's hard to believe the season's gone by that fast, but we say that every year, right? That's just kind of how things go at this juncture. And he's been waiting patiently. We've kept him waiting, so apologies for that. But it's Coach Kyle Clark, head man of the Black River Pirates. His guys have a record-setting performance in more ways than one in a 48-7 win over at Wellington. So, Coach Clark, first and foremost, good morning. Thank you, as always, for joining us. And look, we've talked a lot about kind of the changing of styles over there at Black River compared to what, Pirates fans might have seen even 10, 15, 20 years ago. Obviously, you guys are throwing the ball a lot more than what traditionally was the case over there at Black River, right? And boy, oh boy, you guys are doing it well. But if you would have told somebody in Sullivan, 15 years ago, hey, our quarterback's going to throw for 402 yards and 5 touchdowns on a Friday night, I don't know how many people would have necessarily believed you. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's, an insane stat line from your quarterback, Don Bell, last night.
Yeah, he had a tremendous game, and all the guys around him did as well. I know we're traditionally run. I mean, that's what Coach Young was, and he was very good at coaching that. But
Kyle, I had a wellness check done on Al last night because I think he was grabbing at his heart. 402 yards of passing. That was a season total for Al a couple of years. So I check and make sure Al was okay with that last night, Coach.
Yeah. Of course, he was pretty efficient at running the ball, so he was racking up the yardage that way. But that was the type of kids he had as well. So he always highlighted the strengths of what he had on his roster, and that's what we're trying to do as well.
Well, and there was a fantastic story on Don Bell, and shame on me, I forget who wrote it. It was in the Chronicle the other morning. But just again, we talked about this previously this season, Coach, just sort of the selflessness of multiple guys on your team. Hunter Varney, all the way, back in the early stages of the season, decided, you know what, I think Dom better serves this team as the quarterback than me. I'll relinquish that spot, let Dom be the quarterback. And again, you mentioned it when we talked about this previously, that selflessness has gone a long way for continuing to set the standard this year for what you guys do over there at Black River. But again, it's just continuing to pay dividends for you guys with efforts like last night. Like you said, Dom and Zane, for that matter, as well. They're electric, but you got other buy-in as well. And that just, I think, speaks to the selflessness of the guys that you have to work with this season.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of guys that have jumped in different positions and filled in wherever they could. Because, I mean, we've had some key injuries. I mean, the first quarter of a couple of those tight games, we had two-way starters that started on every special team get injured, season-ending injuries, and we'd had other guys fill in for them when we lost Austin Paymer and Colton Moskal there. So it's kind of been the trend with the team. They talk a lot about brotherhood and doing things for each other, and you can really see it come to fruition with these guys.
Yeah, Kyle, you hit on something we talked with a couple other the coaches from the LC8 on the whole small school. And again, I went to a small school over Cuyahoga Heights. When you lose a starter, sometimes that means 4 or 5 different position changes because you're moving a kid from another position into that position, and you lose a starter on 2 sides and a special team. And then it's not just next man up. It's not a second stringer in small school football. You're shuffling to get your next best athlete on the field. Talk to us about what a challenge that is, and talk to us about how your kids rise to that occasion when you start moving them around to maybe a position that they don't have a lot of reps in.
Yeah, it's been a struggle. Like, say Austin Paymer there week 3, he's our starting strong safety, he's our flanker, he's on every special teams. When he went down there in that first quarter, it eliminated about half the formations that we could run. So we were stuck in 2 to 3 formations the remainder of that game because those are the only ones that we've repped. And currently we don't even have a JV game or schedule right now because I don't have enough guys to fill a JV team. So it's not like I have a 2 or a 3. I definitely don't have a 3. But a lot of these positions, there's only maybe 1.5 guys that are actually practicing it. And it's been a real struggle to deal with it. But the kids, with being a small school, they do practice a lot of different positions from year to year. So if we do happen to throw them in there in something that maybe they haven't repped for a few weeks or even that year, they still are familiar with what we want from each position.
Well, and I'm sure, Coach, there's also got to be, I'm not trying to disqualify some of the challenges, obviously, that come with that. But I'm sure there's, from a kid's perspective, because I'm sure, again, it's challenging for you as the coach, but from a kid's perspective, almost has to keep things fresh and fun in a sense, right? Because, obviously you have your position that you'd like to play as a player and you'd like to be that. But like you said, that's just not always the reality. You're out there on different days, maybe having to do different things. Probably just kind of keep everybody fresh and jovial throughout the course of, these long practices when you get into October, the dog days of the season. I'm sure that kind of keeps kids engaged, wouldn't it?
Oh, it definitely does. And it'd be nice for you guys to come out and watch a practice because I have starting guards that are playing running back on the scout team, playing flanker, playing safety, whatever it may be. I mean, they can play almost every position throughout the week on scout teams. So it gets pretty interesting trying to plug guys in there.
Your linemen get to have a little bit of fun though, because they go over and grab the yellow jersey and pull it over top for the scout team and say, I'm playing tailback in this set here. So
yes, yeah. And then you got to kind of shatter their dreams sometimes because they all want to play quarterback or something like that. We're like, come on, we need a better look at quarterback. You can't be playing quarterback on scout team sports.
You had Wellington last night, and that's there's certain games in the county that are just backyard brawls. And that Black River Wellington game historically has just been, just a backyard brawl. That's kind of a rival. Talk to us about the game last night. Talk to us about playing your neighbor and your rival, and those kids know each other and they play summer ball together and all kinds of things. Talk to us about the rivalry with Wellington last night.
Yeah, I mean it's one of the towns that is close to us. I mean, if you've been out to Black River, we really don't have places to go. We don't have restaurants and things like that. So Wellington is our closest town, and that's where we end up going. So we're rubbing elbows with those kids, those parents repeatedly, so that we always preach that throughout the week. Like, hey, do you want to hang your head high when you walk into Wellington or drive into Wellington, or you want to hang it low? So you gotta bring it this week. And but I mean, it's a very healthy rivalry. There's no bad blood there, and we got together after the game and prayed together. It was a pretty cool sequence, and I love what Coach Howells is doing, and he's a great guy.
Coach, I love that analogy about what my high school coach used to tell us on our rivalry week, man. He goes, you win this game, you get to walk the front streets. You lose this game, you got to walk the back alleys over there this week. That's because a similar situation. If you want something to eat, I was at Cog Heights, you had to go to Independence to get something to eat. So that was for bragging rights. But talk to us about finishing off. You guys are right on the precipice of the playoffs here. How do you approach week 10, Coach?
We got to take care of business and just kind of work on us and install some things that keep our kids interested throughout the week, because I mean, it does get pretty monotonous going after the same or going against the same guys nonstop. And then hopefully we could take care of business against Oberlin, and hopefully we could get some outside help and get in there and play in week 11.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the standings, you guys are right there in that 13th spot. I don't know how everything would shake out computer points wise. Obviously, like you said, you got to take care of your business. Not sure what needs to happen in front of you guys. We don't have to dive into that. But I think and I forget who said it. It might have been Don Griswold over at Keystone. But I'm sure it's just fun, right, as a staff or your players, just to be a part of meaningful football here in mid to late October, right? I think there's a lot of instances where teams get to week 10 and it's like, all right, there's no more after this. We give it all we got this week and turn the pads in afterwards, and that'll be that. But you guys, again, there's some extra meaning to potentially playing beyond this week, so I'm sure that helps motivate the guys here down the home stretch.
Oh, it definitely does. And then this group, they don't want to stop playing together, so that's a big motivator for them. And I just really appreciate the energy and focus that they've been bringing week to week.
Yeah, it's certainly, I'm sure, fantastic for you guys to see. So, Coach, congratulations again on the win last night. Best of luck to you guys as you get ready for a big-time Week 10 matchup with Oberlin, with the playoffs right around the corner. So, here's hoping we have at least one more Saturday morning conversation with you before it's all said and done. Thanks again, Coach.
Thank you for having me on.
Thanks, Kyle.
You got it. It's Kyle Clark, head coach of the Black River Pirates, kind enough to share some time with us here this morning. And look who it is in the queue below, radio voice of the Wine and Golders, the Cleveland Cavaliers, Tim Alcorn. I tell you what, Tim, if you can hang on for about a minute, we're going to get a couple of sponsor thank yous in here real quick. And when we return with the regular season getting set to start next week, we'll be joined by Tim Alcorn, radio voice of the Cleveland Cavaliers after this timeout. Rocco, Nuosci, Tom Evans here with you on this morning's Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. We'll be right back.
At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford this month, you choose. Right now, get the Escape, Mach-E, Mustang, or Bronco Sport for only $399 a month with 0 down, or the Bronco, Explorer, or F-150 for just $499 a month. At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, we make it that easy.
Lorain County Community College is where you'll lock in your future success. We've helped thousands of people just like you match skills and experience with a career. We can help you train for a career that is in demand right now. You can even work in your field while taking classes. LCCC will get you prepared, get you credentialed, and get you working. Lorain County Community College. Your goals, your career, your future. Enroll today.
Happy fall and happy football season. Professional football became a fall favorite when it was introduced in 1920. That's 19 years after Ohio Mutual Insurance Group began keeping the promises that secure dreams. Stop in and see us at the Cobos Insurance Center to learn more about Ohio Mutual. Cobos can help you select the right coverage for your needs. Find us online at cobosins.com. If you want to protect your auto, home, farm, or business, you want Ohio Mutual on your team.
All right, winding down the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show here on WEOL.com and on that Chronicle Telegram YouTube channel. Rocco, Nuosci, Tom Evans here with you this morning, and the last of our guests, but certainly not the least. There he is, radio voice of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Tim Alcorn, kind enough to share some time with us here this morning. Tim, thank you for the last-minute pivot. I know I texted you, 2 hours ago to see if you'd be available. You had some other things going on this morning, but here we are at 10:40, ready to talk some Cavalier basketball. I'm sure you got some high school football thoughts as well to share, but good to have you on this kind of new look Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. How are we doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. I guess the more things change, the more they stay the same. Here I am on a Saturday morning. I'm out looking at my buddy Tom Evans there. Boy, Tom, Saturday morning wrap-up show duties. Good Lord. They have you doing everything now.
Yeah. How far have we fallen, Tim? Are you on your way over to my house to pick up some brownies right now? I know that you saw the brownie post last night, and I knew that would strike a nerve with you.
I mean, what's that? Here I thought I was Lisa's favorite. And I got Ron Yance with this big post about how Lisa made him his very special batch of brownies. You talk about a guy that's fallen from favor. My goodness.
Yeah, it's a tough world out here. Tough brownie world. I think that a lot of us are living in.
I knew when Yance threw that post up that I'd be hearing from you at some point in time. That was definitely in the cards.
And I think it was 90 seconds later that you heard.
Well, Tim, obviously we'd love to talk some Cavs here with you with the preseason in the books, regular season getting started on Wednesday. Cavs will be in New York to take on the Knicks, obviously a familiar opponent in recent history for these wine and golders. But I guess I'll kind of have to put you on the spot here before we get rolling. Any predominant high school football thoughts that you like to get out here, right? Obviously the wrap-up show, we talk a lot of high school football. We know you've been doing some games elsewhere this season as far as the broadcasting gig goes on the high school football front. But what have you made of how things have kind of shaken out here in Lorain County with how much you've been able to pay attention?
Well, I've already scoured the Blitz this morning. I was on joeidle.com. I mean, listen, you can't take me away from high school football. I love it. You may hear, just like on a lot of Saturday mornings in my past, my voice is a little raspy, as you said. I have been calling some high school football. So, boy, the thing that really struck me last night, how about Clearview with that big upset win over Columbia? Now that really shakes things up as far as that conference race is concerned. So, in particular, that's the one that really caught my eye last night. And boy, Mike Elder and the Avon Eagles just continue their dominance. It's just a machine now over at Avon, as it has been for well over a decade, 15, 20 years now with Mike at the helm. So still follow it very, very closely and keeping an eye on those computer points. This is the best time of year. You get into weeks 9 and 10 and who's in and who's out. And Tom, I know you and I have talked about this, the scenario now where teams are going to get buys. That's going to be interesting because kids aren't used to it. Coaches aren't used to it. So this is going to be a lot of fun for the next few weeks.
Yeah, I think there's definitely going to be, you're going to see some people handle it real well, and you're going to see some people not handle it well because it is something new, and it's not pro football. Okay, it's not just give them a couple of days off and get back to work. These are 15, 16, 17-year-old kids that you're now going to give a week off. So I think that, we talked to Mike Elder about it. You have to have something very, very structured that week in between to make sure that, you're getting a little bit of rest, but you're still prepping and you're still staying sharp because you can't turn them on and off. And again, distractions come very quickly for teenagers. So you have to make sure that they maintain their focus and they're ready to play. Like I said, we talked to Mike about that a little bit, and Mike's talked to Larry Karras, and I think he's got a plan in place ready to do that because they know that they're going to be one of those teams in a bye situation. But when we went from 16 to 12, I said, everybody, that's all well and good, but if you haven't had a bye before, there's an art to that. There's a little there's some nuances to that and getting ready for that. So I'm really anxious to see how it shakes out.
And again, just to add to that, I'm sure you guys have talked about it, but you don't know who you're scouting for in particular, because you've got to wait to see. I'm speaking the obvious here, I know, but you've got to wait to see who that opponent will be. So that bye week, it's not like you can get some early prep in for opponent A or opponent B. You know it will be A or B, but you don't know specifically. So I'm sure that adds even a bit of a more challenge to it.
Yeah, no, it'll certainly be interesting and challenging for a lot of our local teams here with Week 10 coming next Friday, and then playoffs right around the corner after that. Some teams still fighting just to get in, right? Forget getting a bye week or hosting. Some teams fighting for their life, just trying to get in, and may need some help in front of them to do just that. I know Kyle Clark from Black River, who just joined us. They're one of those teams. They're in the 13th spot in their region right now. They have to win to get in, but they may need help in front as well.
And that's I got up on my screen, my other screen over here. Kyle's looking at the Columbiana Lisbon Beaver game. Outcome he needs some help from Lisbon Beaver, who's 6-3, and they play the Columbiana Clippers, who are 5-3 right now. But you could ask 80% of the people in Sullivan, they don't know where either one of those schools is, and yet right. their playoff hopes may be riding on the outcome of that game.
But I love it. I think that adds so much intrigue, and you're scouring scores, and it just heightens the interest of high school football. I just think it's fantastic.
Yeah, no, it doesn't really get any better than this. Like you said, Tim, it's just the most fun time of the year for high school football fans when it gets down to the nitty gritty like this. So, all right, let's talk some hoops, much to the chagrin of Mr. Wrestler Hall of Famer over here. The Wine and Golders get their regular season started this week. Tim, obviously, folks can follow along on the Cavs audioverse with you and Jim Jones calling the games this season. But what did we make of the preseason from the Cavs? Obviously, results wise, I think they go 0-4 in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken. Played the Bulls a couple of times, saw the Celtics in there. What do we make of what we saw in the preseason? Obviously, you're waiting on a couple of guys to get back from injury, and you're coming off of a disappointing postseason exit. What do we kind of make of things as we get set for Wednesday?
Now, first of all, before we dive into the Cavs, yes, I know Tom Evans is a wrestling guy. He is so passionate about wrestling. But I can't begin to tell you how many times I get texts from Tom Evans during the middle of a Cavs broadcast. I'm listening here, I'm listening there, I'm driving and I'm listening. So, Tom's got some basketball fandom in him as well. I know wrestling is his predominant winter sport, but he's got some hoops fandom in him too. So, and I love getting those texts from Tom. It's so cool. But yeah, the Cavaliers high expectations. Listen, 64-win season last year, second best record in the NBA, and of course, number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. And Rocco, to your point, yes, it did end in disappointing fashion against Indiana. Now, injuries played a part in that. Cavs won't use that as an excuse, but it certainly was a cause as far as what happened in that series against the Pacers. And don't take anything away from Indiana. I remember, I think I was on the Saturday wrap-up before the series began, and I said, Indiana 34-14 coming down the stretch. They're playing great basketball. They were healthy. And I've been on record as saying, if Halliburton doesn't get hurt in Game 7 of the NBA Finals, I think Indiana is the defending NBA champions. But that's a woulda, coulda, shoulda. But Halliburton was playing at such an elite level. But back to the Cavaliers. So the expectations are high. And that playoff loss to Indiana, that stung. That really hurt this organization from top to bottom, and they readily admit that. So anxious to get going. Obviously, as you referenced, Rocco, they've got to get healthy. Hopefully DG will be back relatively soon. Max Strus, there's going to be a little more of a weight on that. He may miss approximately what he did last year to start the season, 25, 30 games, somewhere in that neighborhood with that Jones fracture in the foot. But listen, DeAndre Hunter's had a great camp. He's going to step into that starting role, and he has just been outstanding in the 4 preseason games. Evan Mobley has, again, taken his game up to another level, and that's certainly critical for the Cavaliers to play into late May into June. So Lonzo Ball, an offseason acquisition for Isaac Okoro. He has been tremendous. He is definitely going to be a huge factor as far as the Cavaliers' backcourt rotation is concerned. And not to take anything away from Ty Jerome, what he did last year, coming off that terrible ankle injury the year before where he only played 2 games, and to put together performances like he did last season, he was simply incredible. But listen, I think Lonzo Ball is an upgrade and not a knock on Ty Jerome, but Lonzo has a little more size. He has a little more distributing skills than Ty Jerome did or does. And I think defensively, Lonzo is going to be a huge asset. So listen, this is a team, they know they've got a target on their back, but I think they're ready for that. And I think they have such a hunger to get beyond the second round of the playoffs that will carry them through the regular season.
Well, real quick to follow up on Lonzo, because I think that was one of the acquisitions that I don't think got enough attention this offseason. When you look at the type of player Lonzo Ball is, I know obviously LaMelo, his younger brother, has garnered a lot of that Ball conversation in recent history. Lonzo's missed a lot of time with some knee issues, but I thought when the Cavs got him, I thought, man, that could really kind of open up what you're able to do with a second unit with him out there kind of orchestrating things. And I think a lot of Wine and Gold fans are going to find that out quickly. But just to touch on the health thing again, Tim, not necessarily just with the Cavs, but you look at that Eastern Conference this year, Tim, it is wide open. When you look at teams that were beat up, obviously Jason Tatum, he goes down with the Achilles injury. So the Celtics probably not going to be what many thought they could be before that injury, right? Halliburton will miss the year with Indiana, right? So that's a big hit for them. You have other teams that have been struggling. The Sixers are kind of behind where they thought they might be at this juncture. So you really have a good opportunity. There's still good teams in the East, right? Like the one the Cavs will open up with on Wednesday, but you got a conference that I think is really up for grabs and could see the Cavs on top of again when it's all said and done in May.
Yeah, Rocco, the window is wide open. The opportunity is now for the Cavaliers. And again, organizationally, they recognize that. As you said, Boston without Tatum, and they've dealt away Drew Holiday, and they've dealt away Kristaps Porzingis. I guess to use a high school term, this is a gap year for Boston. They had to shed all that salary to get out of that second apron. And so Boston, even though they beat the Cavaliers in the preseason, that's a shell of the roster that they've had the past few years. Indiana without Halliburton, and of course Miles Turner has gone on to Milwaukee. So, and Thomas Bryant came here. We haven't talked about that acquisition. So that's a team that doesn't look like they did against the Cavaliers or all the way into the NBA Finals in Game 7 against OKC. So Cavaliers, once they get healthy, that full roster with the additions they made, most odds makers and the prognosticators have said the Cavaliers are the favorite in the Eastern Conference, as they should be. So I think New York will challenge. Certainly the Knicks with a new head coach and Mike Brown, but they bring back a lot of the guys that brought them to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, namely Jalen Brunson, but Karl Anthony Towns. So they've got some talent. I think Orlando is a team to keep an eye on, guys. They're going to be healthy with the Wagner brothers back as far as both of them being healthy. You've got Banchero, who is now, in essence, a superstar in the league. And the acquisition of Desmond Bane, Orlando opponents would just dare them to shoot the three ball because they couldn't throw it in a pond. I mean, they just couldn't hit from downtown. Well, now you bring Bane in, and that's a guy that's known for hitting three balls. So that rounds out that Orlando roster. So to me, Cavaliers, as I said, should and are the favorites in the Eastern Conference. I would put the Knicks in Orlando maybe a shade below the Cavaliers, and then 4 through 6 as far as avoiding the play-in, and even 7 through 10 with the play-in. I think that's a crapshoot.
Tim, I look at this as a Cleveland fan. I'm a Cleveland fan of everything and somewhat spoiled. And I think that, Kenny Atkinson comes in and they say, can they get to the next level? He obviously takes them to that next level. And I think now the casual fan says, well, okay, what's the next level now? And you start to take things for granted. The casual fan does. And for me, this is about, can they make that next step in the playoffs? So there's a point in time when Kenny came in, regular season was real important, and those wins and getting to the top of the East and all the rest of it. The casual fan, I think, kind of takes that for granted now, and they shouldn't. That's an 82 game season. But for those of us in Cleveland, and we are spoiled with the success of our baseball team and our basketball team, it's about getting it. In the huge disappointment last year over Indiana, I think people just kind of took for granted. And I was on board with you. I had seen Indiana play the last couple of weeks of the season. I said, this is not going to. And Rick Carlisle is a heck of a coach.
Oh.
My good friend, and you remember Flip Saunders. I had a tremendous amount of respect for Rick Carlisle, and that always stuck in my head. And I said, this is not going to be. I was listening to the talkers. I said, you can't look past this team, and they didn't. Because Indiana played well, but now it's all about that next step. It's about getting to the finals. And I liken this to back. I remember a time in either the 80s or 90s, and everybody's talking about everything out west. And the Lakers were out west, and Phoenix was tough out west, and everybody out west in the East stunk. And all of a sudden, the Pistons just have a so-so season and come and then win the championship. Just take it away from the Lakers. And it said, how did that ever happen? The 7 best teams in the NBA were supposed to be in the West, and they had Detroit at number 8. But they come out of the East in black and blue and put one on the Lakers in the championship that year. And I almost liken this kind of season to that kind of season a little bit in my hopes as a Clevelander.
Yeah, Tom, you make a great point. And listen, as I said, the expectations are high. The bar has been set high, and the Cavaliers as an organization don't shrink from that. And they realize 2 straight years that this team has gotten bounced in the second round of the playoffs. Now, both years, a couple of years ago against Boston, and then last year with Indiana, injuries played a part in that. But they won't use that as an excuse. And so you've got to get beyond that second round. Tom, you make a great point. You've got to take it to that next level. And from Dan Gilbert to Kobe Altman to Kenny Atkinson, right on down, that's the goal. That's the objective this year, to get beyond that second round, get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and hopefully the NBA Finals. They understand that. They know that that's what's internal, but that's what's external as well, with the fans and with media, if you want to say that. But they know that the target is on their back, and the bar is Eastern Conference Finals and hopefully NBA Finals. They have to get past that second round of the playoffs.
Well, Tim, we can close with this, and I guess I'll have you put on your marketing and promotional hat here this morning for us real quick if you could.
And a Joe Tate sweater.
Well, there you go. There you go. But I am in love, my friend, as many around Northeast Ohio are as well, I think, with the new throwback uniforms that the Cavs just released this past week. The navy blues from the initial LeBron era. I think they actually had Daniel Boobie Gibson in some of those promotional photos, who was my favorite guard from LeBron's first stint here in Cleveland. So I was thrilled to see that. I still got a Boobie jersey at home somewhere. But, man, those are clean. They look fantastic. What a job. What a reveal. Job well done from everyone in the organization for releasing those uniforms. And I'm sure people have already ordered those like hotcakes.
When you see something or you hear something, sometimes you just have that instantaneous flashback. I see that blue uniform and I think of LeBron James in the 2007 Eastern Conference Finals in Detroit when he scored the last 28. I don't have it right here in front of me in my car, but I think the last 28 and 30 of the last 31 or whatever it was. And he was wearing that blue uniform and single-handedly won Game 5 to send the series back to Cleveland at 3-2 Cavs, and then they won Game 6 behind Daniel Boobie Gibson. The Pistons have been, as I drop my phone, the Pistons have been booby-trapped. One of Joe Tate's all-time best lines. And but I love those blue uniforms. I love it. So
I was in the arena that night.
I'll try to paint that picture as vividly as I can on the radio calls and mention as often as I can those blue uniforms, because I think they're fantastic. And Rocco, to your point, they're clean, they're sharp, they bring back great memories. And to your point, man, hats off to the Cavs. That's a great look. That's just an awesome look.
Yeah, and I know people have been claiming because they do like a new kind of throwback just about every year. It seems like teams across the NBA, and I know that's one that a lot of folks around here have been kind of clamoring for to bring back. And I'm glad to see that they finally did it again. Shout out Boobie Gibson, Booby Trapped, as you said, right? That's the classic line, and what an effort that was from him in Game 6. So good to see him on the promotional marketing stuff there. So Tim, an honor to have you join us here on this new look Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap Up Show. Hope you enjoyed your debut here on the show. I'm sure we'll have some winter conversations as the Cavs get their season underway. But again, folks can tune in to the Cavs Audioverse wherever you get it at. Tim Alcorn will have the call for you all season long. Wine and Golders looking to get back into that Eastern Conference postseason picture and make some noise once again this year. So Tim, thanks again, my friend. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk again soon.
Guys, great to be with you. I do catch the recaps on the Chronicle Telegram YouTube page. It looks fantastic. Rocco, hats off to you for putting that all together and the entire team. I know I did the opener with Avon and Ignatius, and man, it just looks great. And so I'm so proud of you and everybody within the organization for keeping that high school sports vibrancy alive. It's just fantastic. Hats off to you guys.
Well, words of endearment from Tim Alcorn. That's worth a lot here on a Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. So thank you, Tim. Appreciate those kind words. And, we'll have you on some more here in the future, I'm sure. Thanks again.
Would love to do it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Tim.
There he is, Tim Alcorn, radio voice of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Look at it, just showered with compliments we are this morning.
And Tim's the original Brownie guy. Tim and I go way back with the Brownies, a post game over in the Evans basement, and so he's got years of experience with Miss Lisa's Brownies. So.
Boy, and that's the kind of experience you want there, right? That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Well, that'll do it for us this morning. What a fun show here. It's always fun when Tommy Evans graces the grounds of the Chronicle Telegram here over on Broad Street here, or off Broad Street, I should say, in Elyria. So, Tom, big thanks to you, my friend. Big thanks to everybody who joined us this morning. Tim Alcorn, of course, radio voice of the Cleveland Cavaliers, all of the head coaches who joined us as well. And then Michael Keefe, our voice of our Stream 3 Medina County matchup, was kind enough to share some time with us this morning. And again, thank you to our sponsors, Nick Abraham, Elyria Ford, Lorain County Community College, Stewart's TV and Appliance, EcoTree Services, and our friends at Cobos Insurance Center. So for Tim Alcorn, for Michael Keefe, for all of the head coaches, for our sponsors, for Tommy Evans, I'm Rocco Nuosci saying thank you, our listeners, our wonderful, loyal listeners and viewers, for watching another episode of our Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Have a great, safe rest of your weekend, everybody, and we'll see you next Friday for some more high school football right here on WEOL and the Chronicle Telegram YouTube channel.